and let's talk about this. So 444 label group, 444 label group, which is Kobolsil's sort of brand that he put out there, have debuted their fall 2023 collection, which came out a while back, but I didn't feature it on the pod, so I thought I'd talk about it now. And it got me thinking overall about the necessity and the kind of space that this sort of like rave wear type of shit is occupying, and whether or not it's necessary at all. Because, you know, as being a bit of an addict for going out and shit and being obsessed with clubs, specifically places like Berghain and whatnot, you know, I've been there enough to kind of see the kind of trends of what people wear and whatnot. And from what I've seen, for the most part, a lot of these club kids that go out, there is a contingency of them that do like to wear designer clothes. And I feel like that's always a bit of a cool little flex of being able to wear really expensive designer clothes in a nightclub and sweating them out and not really caring, and kind of wearing them because they look cool, but not also caring about them too much and being precious about them, where you can't, you know, wear them in a sweaty nightclub and get them, you know, covered in gunk and whatnot. I think that's a bit of a cool flex. But there's also a part of people who go out and they want to spend as little money as possible on their outfit, and most of it on drugs and alcohol and shit, which makes sense. But they also take inspiration from designer looks, so they'll go to a vintage shop and maybe have a designer look in their head, and then try and replicate it with bring some vintage stuff, secondhand stuff and whatnot, and whatever it may be. So I feel like there's a main two camps that occupy it, and then again you have the people who just don't give a crap and just go in for the vibes. But I don't necessarily feel like there is a real big community of people who, number one, buy merch, like who buy, like, you know, merch from like labels, which is weird because I feel there's a lot of cool brands that do cool stuff like Public Possession, like Toy Tonics, of course, and a few others who have some pretty cool like record label or even DJ merch. I'm knowing Amelie Lenz, who's fucking shit, but she's got some pretty decent, you know, merch out there. I don't feel like a lot of fans even wear the merch too tough. Kind of Music is a good example. So if fans don't wear merch, I don't see where club wear kind of fits in. I know there's that one big brand called Nacht from Berlin that does like club kids wear, and a lot of the stuff is just, you know, what you'd expect it, a Berlin sort of like club kid wear brand to be. It's loads of leather, loads of PVC, loads of harness straps, loads of dresses, loads of stuff with holes on them and shit, right? It's all kind of the same old shit people are wearing when they go to a club. So you think to yourself, why would you want to buy overpriced harnesses when you could just buy a regular harness from Amazon and then just jazz it up yourself at home, right? Either with a you know, colored pen, maybe with bedazzling it or whatnot, cutting it up, whatever. You can do whatever you want with it at home than buying one for like £300 from a brand like Nacht. So then it brings me on to this topic, which features Kobolsil's label, 444 label group, where he's basically doing actual collections. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is made either with the same production that does Off-White. So it's either New Guards Group or it's done with somebody else, but it's done basically properly. It's produced season night. It presents it everywhere. I think it's presented during Milan Fashion Week. I'm not really too sure. Maybe it's Paris, Milan, but it doesn't matter. But it's a consistent collection enough out there where they're putting together looks. And if you see this HYPEBEAST article, there is 53 looks in this. So there's a lot of clothes that they're pushing out there. And I just don't know, number one, who they're making this shit for, who's buying it, and why this exists. Is it necessary? Or even if it's necessary as well out there as club wear things, because I just don't think, having been to many clubs over the years, that there is enough, that there's fans out there that care that much that they want to wear club specific outfits. Like the most that I've done, especially being a DJ, is that I found brands that do really good like DJ type gear. And a good one is actually this collaboration I'll quickly show you, from This Never That, where they did this collaboration with Public Release, and they put together a kind of DJ specific casual collection that included a DJ bag, that included t-shirts and hoodies and whatnot. And this sort of stuff I think works really well, right? The ability to kind of put a little small capsule collection together with a kind of recognized really cool label, and also with a really cool brand out from South Korea. I think This Never That is. They've got here the hoodie, they've got a t-shirt, they've got a nice little woolly hat, they've got a nice belt, and then they've got this really cool DJ bag where you can basically put your headphones and your USBs and all the other bits and bobs, right? This sort of stuff really works well. But I don't know if people actually care about wearing like club wear like this, where it's like a bomber jacket with a print on it, you know, like all this. And again, all this stuff I think will be really overpriced for what it is, because you can get these looks yourself or make them yourself for fairly cheap. You got a look here with a skirt, You got another little fishtail Parker here in black with a hoodie where you can get anywhere. So I'm just wondering who they're making this for and who's actually buying this day in, day out. For me personally, I'm really interested in, because, you know, I've been to enough clubs to know that this stuff isn't, this looks a little bit like Hood Rich, right? It's like a Berlin version of Hood Rich. 444 label group taping on the side here with this red hoodie, which is funny because if you wore this, like if a black guy wore this outfit and went to queue outside Berghain and try and get in, you wouldn't get in. That's a funny thing. So it's like rave wear, but it's like rave wear where only certain people can wear it, because you won't get into certain clubs wearing this sort of shit. You have to maybe gay it up a little bit, right? If you wore it in a very straight way with some Nike Air Maxes, right? Like imagine you wore this red look, you're definitely going to get rejected. There's no way that you're getting into any Berlin club as a black dude wearing a tracksuit, right? Like this, it's not happening. You have to kind of, you know, day them it up a bit, and then maybe you might have a chance of kind of coming in. But yeah, you got this look here with the skirt, got a lot of kilt looks here. Again, you can get kilt anywhere, you can get a black hoodie anywhere, and this can make this look work really well. So would you actually need to buy this overpriced stuff? The collaboration shoes are pretty nice. I don't know who the brand is they did the collaboration with. Maybe it's A6, I'm not really too sure, but they look pretty decent. The hat looks pretty decent as well, but you'd imagine a lot of the prices for this is going to be very, very expensive and very high. So I'm just curious to know who's actually buying this stuff out there, who's actually deciding that they want to wear Kobolsil type of outfits to the club. You know, this is horrid. This is like, what is it? This is like a sleeveless sweater with with like a polyester type hood, and it's stitched on there, Rave New World. Oof. This is horrendous. One of the worst things I've seen in my entire life. A sleeveless vest shirt that kind of reminds me of going to church, number one. Oh, I got, wait, there we go. Got the old Will of Death here. Sleeveless vest shirt, and this, it just looks horrendous. So do the glasses. Let's continue. Hopefully my thing hasn't crashed. This all black look again, nondescript. You can get all this stuff any other brand, I'm assuming. It just feels a little bit empty to kind of get this from them. Again, considering what the prices will be, it's not really for me in the slightest. You got this one which features I think this is a brand that makes the carrier bags and whatnot, right? UDG collaboration. Again, wearing the brand that makes carrier bags for DJs to carry vinyl and shit, and then wearing the hoodie and shirt of it, it just feels so naff. If ever there was a outfit that, you know, people say, oh, you got passion for fashion. This is definitely passion for techno, isn't it? Like, this is just so corny. I wouldn't be seen dead wearing some shit like this. This is like wearing a fold outfit head to toe. Like if Fold put out merch and they had like a fold hat and a fold bag and a fold jacket. It's like this is just too much dick sucking. It's just too much. You have to at least have some level of pride and pick out your own clothes. You know what I mean, you can't be having your clubs and your flipping record labels and your DJ like kind of picking your clothes out for you. That's just going a little bit too far for me personally. You would assume a lot of this stuff is Rave New World. Oh, the t-shirts look pretty nice. I'm not mad at the t-shirt. The styling on the looks really looks really cool. But again, some of this stuff is just like a bit shocking, to be fair. This sort of poncho thing is actually pretty decent. I'm not too mad at this. The logo is obviously crazy good. And everyone's kind of copied this kind of, you know, branded big logo on the back thing. Maybe it's a flip on Palace, I don't know, but I like this, you know, 4-4 fling he's got on the back here. I think it's very distinctive and looks pretty cool. I think Teletech, that label and party promoter out from Manchester, they do a good job of having the same sort of thing. Nice little back logo thing that works pretty real. But again, you don't see many people day to day wearing Teletech merch, even though they do good shit. So if they did a whole collection of clothing, who's really going to be wearing that day to day? I don't really know personally, but it just looks a little bit weird. But yeah, it just looks interesting, innit? Varsity jackets here. You got some more bomber jackets here also. Another hat and bomber jacket. But it's just funny. I'm just thinking of all this stuff worn in a black context, and I just can picture you getting node 999 everywhere. Oh, you got Sven from Berghain in the lookbook also featured there. Like, you know, you just look at this in a black context and think, hey, who would you get in with this sort of outfit? Maybe wouldn't. But yeah, I'm not too sure. But I guess what kind of sells all this stuff is definitely the sort of like lifestyle associated with it. And there's this really interesting video actually featured on YouTube that Kobosil put together called Rave New World, that kind of gives them maybe an inkling into what kind of feeds into their clothing. But I feel like for whatever reason, when it comes to DJing, when it comes to dance music, there's a real big separation, it feels like, between what people are kind of like, what kind of inspires them to go out and maybe other parts of their life. Like, I don't really think people really care to eat in a DJ kind of programmed restaurant, right? If a DJ kind of put a restaurant together and picked out the flipping what people would eat on a menu, I don't think it'd be that successful. So I feel like there's a bit of a separation in that regard. People probably just care about what they do behind the decks, but do they care enough to go to their restaurant, to go to their bar? I'm not really too sure personally. But let me just quickly play this video that features Kobolsil and his Rave New World collective, and this kind of gives you an idea on what kind of they're doing and what kind of goes into the brand and blah 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 blah. Let's play this quickly. We just it's kind of loading. There we go. Let's get this off. Just pause this now and bring it back so you can see what this sounds like. But this might be a bit ear splitting, so lower the volume now if you're listening to this video audio, because this may be some really hard hitting techno music that you probably won't be that familiar with if you haven't listened to this stuff before. So let me go back to the beginning.
Geht, Leute, der dritte Vlog, Rave New World.
That's him saying, what's up vlog, Rave New World.
Ihr wolltet ihn, ihr bekommt ihn.
You wanted it, so you got it. Let's go.
Viel gesehen auf diesem Schlachtfeld. Ja, meine Freunde waren wie Falschgeld. Ja, mein Leben war die Hölle, ja. Mein Pain, der mich wach hält. Nein, ich kam damals.
By the way, I find this really, to give Kobosil a bit of credit, I find this kind of like macho, bro-y type of techno really interesting, because it feels like everybody else in that space tries to like fem up what they're doing, right? In a weird way, maybe to kind of appeal to more people, or just maybe it's the kind of what they're on about, but they don't really aggressively try to be very masculine and very kind of strong and very braggadocious and very kind of upfront, in your face, bro. Like, you can imagine a 444 label group, night to be very like that, right? A lot of guys in like hats low to their face, being serious, taking music very seriously, stomping around the place, barging everybody off their face on GHB. But it's not very feminine, it's not very soft, it's not very whatever it may be, but it still attracts that group of people. I still feel like the LGBTQ lot and queer lot still go to this type of events, even though it's a very kind of cis-gendered, macho-facing type of a brand in that space. Kind of interesting how he's done it and been able to kind of thrive, especially in a space where everybody's trying to accommodate everybody. It feels like it's very much a singular, my type of like broy type of voice with my little side bag and my little flick knife in there, smoking weed, all that sort of shit. I don't know.
Mich raus aus dem Verderben, in der Dunkelheit vergraben, wollte nichts mehr außer sterben. Nein, ich hatte keine Vision, sag, was soll nur aus mir werden? Heute laufe ich auf Marmor, kälter als eure Herzen.
Let's go, jetzt gehen wir in den Showroom. Hier sind alle Klamotten von der neuen Kollektion. Hier wird dann auch alles verkauft, also an die Großkunden. Hier sind auch ein paar VIPs, die wir dann einkleiden.
Okay, cool. Let's go back there. What you said here? Sorry, because he's speaking in German, so let me translate. What did you say? It's Paris.
Let's go. Jetzt gehen wir in den Showroom.
Max, we enter the showroom. All our new clothes are here.
Hier wird dann auch alles
From here, we're selling at big stores and other buyers during Paris Fashion Week. Also, some VIPs come through to get dressed by us. Let's show you around. That's something I really don't understand. I feel like a lot of these brands do this, which is really kind of annoying. Obviously, because maybe the heart of like menswear sort of like showrooms and buying season happens mostly in Paris Fashion Week, and because that's basically like the pinnacle, the Olympics of fashion weeks, right? Like all the best brands show there. Everybody kind of jumps on to kind of showcase their brand during Paris Fashion Week. But I feel like a lot of these brands, you know, 444 Labor Group being a good example, Heron Preston before being a good example, it probably adds to the story of the brand and to appeal of it if you actually do it where it's from. Kobolsil is very, very much attached to and associated with Berlin in that scene. It would make more sense, especially considering how low Berlin Fashion Week is kind of regarded on a global scale. It would actually be a bit of a win and a bit of a coup if they were able to get somebody as high profile and as well known as he is to actually show his collections during Berlin Fashion Week. And have that be the main place where you can kind of interact with the brand and shit, as opposed to going to Paris and all that shit and kind of riding and trying to cat that wave, or going to Milan. It feels a little bit incongruent. It doesn't really match the flow of what they're doing. So I feel like when Heron Preston decided to move his brand back to New York and kind of do his fashion week during New York Fashion Week, I feel like it's only going to be a net positive to the brand storytelling overall. I just don't feel like this is a necessary story to tell in Paris with 444 Labor Group. I think it's kind of intrinsic to Berlin, if not Amsterdam, but definitely Berlin. But hey, what do I know? Big team doing this, isn't it? It feels like he kind of oversees it as a creative director, but there's a lot of people working behind the scenes putting this actual shit together, which again shows you how, you know, the industry, the business side of fashion is an interesting part of it, I feel like, overall, because the glitz and the glamour of it, they always make it seem like it's a singular creative vision that's responsible for the madness and for the amazing shit you see on the runways or you see in stores. But there's loads of people who are, you know, who kind of go without, you know, fanfare and stuff, who are really in the backgrounds keeping that machine churning, keeping it going along, right? Making sure the studio is done well and things are put in a certain way, graphics are on the screen, this is produced here, talking to factories about the finishing on the jumper, about certain zip finishes, fixture finishes, materialing, fabrication, coloring. There's so many things that go into it, and then the kind of quintessential creative voice just says, yeah, I want this there, I want that there, I want that smaller. But getting it done is done by actual pros who deserve a lot of credit, but don't get it because for some reason this industry is kind of, you know, praises the singular vision of people, when really fashion is a collective industry. Really, without the team and a collective, they can't get anywhere with this. So naff, man. This is so corny, the clothes. Oh my god.
I bought this bag when I was 16 and now I have my own collabo. How crazy is this? Follow your dreams. I told you, always.
That's cool, I guess.
I'll
keep in my bag. What's he got? So here's what it is. Inside his UG bag.
Also, was habe ich hier drin? Ich habe einmal dieses Lip Repair.
I got, what's that? First of all, I got this lip repair. Then I got my ear protection.
Dann habe ich meinen Gehörschutz. Guarana-Tabletten von Amelie Lenz. Das ist so
Guarana tablets for Amelie Lenz. It's basically vegetable caffeine. Guarana, what the fuck is that? Never heard of that in my life.
sowas wie Koffein, bloß pflanzlich. Benutze ich wirklich.
I use them every rarely, so 4 times a day.
Also 4-mal am Tag. AirPods,
keys,
Nasentropfen, falls du
nose drop, so if you get sick, you can still pop your ears when flying.
erkältet bist im Flugzeug, wenn die Ohren zu sind, kannst du Druckausgleich machen, genau. Und wenn du Bock hast,
and I got undercover, always got to keep a mask.
Anonym zu sein, immer eine Maske dabei. Jetzt ein bisschen sammeln, bevor
collecting. What's that now? Now a bit of collecting before Miles Schuster from WWE.
kommt von WWE, einer der wichtigsten Journalisten. Also ich bin sehr, sehr
super grateful that he is making this time.
Unglaublich, wenn alles auf
unbelievable when it comes to crashing down on
so 7-8 Monate
and you see the result of 7 to 8 work all at once.
Auf einmal ist alles da. So, jetzt sind wir auf dem Weg zum Team-Dinner.
Now we're on the way for a team dinner before the storm showtime.
Ich werde euch alle antworten.
I'll just answer all later, but I'll still need a little time. I hope you understand. That's probably another reason why he has such a die-hard fan base, isn't it? He looks like respond to all DMs and shit, which is pretty cool, because I always get annoyed about DJs and stuff like that who act too big time. I mean, if Harry Styles can say hi to his fans, then some of these cunts on the whore on Boiler Room have no excuse. Very produced, well
Vielleicht auch
done
irgendwann mal
video.
so Reaction
Maybe I
Videos
should
machen,
start with the
so
reaction
direkt
videos. Kobosil
wie
reacts
zu
to new
Boiler
Boiler Room
Room,
sets.
Boiler Room Set von XY. Mach ich den Stopp so.
I will hit pause and be like,
geh
oh,
auf
that's
langsam
trying
rein,
to tell us
und dann
about
gucken wir weiter. Hauen wir mal halt rein.
interesting life continue.
Ja, wir waren heute den ganzen
We're
Tag
here in
im
the showroom all day,
haben
dressed some
ein paar
people.
Leute eingekleidet. Morgen werden wir noch ein paar mehr Leute
I will
einkleiden.
dress some more
Wahrscheinlich der
tomorrow.
Erste.
I'm probably first
Eines
because I'm
German.
German. One thing it does show you, this lavish video, this again, these guys are at the top of the, you know, the top of the flipping apex when it comes to DJs around the world and whatnot, and their fan base and whatnot it may be. But it does show you the amount of money that's involved in flipping dance music in general, collectively. That, you know, this type of, I think, pretty substandard clothing, and, you know, pretty uninspired music, really, for the most part, is this popular and is able to kind of support this many people. Like, Kobolsil's responsible for a lot of people's salaries. He's paying a lot of people's mortgages, a lot of people's rents, putting a lot of people through school, just because of this particular brand of music that he makes, particular type of aesthetic he's kind of pushed out there, connection with the fan base. Like, in this really, I think, niche, because dance music is a bit of a niche, especially people that want to go to clubs and stuff. It's not everyone that kind of gets tapped into this. So it's a niche of the niches, and he's really smashed it to this point, man. So it definitely shows you that there's a lot of money involved in this scene. Like, if you really get down to it and you really kind of want to do it, you can make some bucks, because these guys are out here eating in these lavish Parisian restaurants, whole team fully comped, his card behind the till, madness.
Erste Mal Paris Fashion Week.
Nachdem wir in Mailand unsere Kollektion gezeigt haben, sind wir jetzt in Paris. Es ist keine Show, sondern es ist ein Event. Wir sind trotzdem auf dem offiziellen Kalender drauf, deswegen ich freue mich mega dabei zu sein. Dieses Mal wollten wir den Leuten...
So they have a showroom in Paris, sorry, but then they show their actual collection in Milan. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it just would have been a much nicer story to sell this in Berlin, to kind of, you know, spruce up that fashion week, put that on the map, while also kind of having it tie in with your actual brand and where you're actually from. But again, maybe I'm in the wrong there.
Zeigen, wie es ist, in unsere Welt einzutauchen. Deswegen habe ich mich dafür entschieden, einen fetten Rave an den Start zu bringen und einfach die ganze Industrie mit in meine Welt zu nehmen.
Überraschungsgast für dich heute.
Vittoria Ceretti, einer der krassesten Models. Ich bin so dankbar, dass sie Bock hat. Sven Marquardt, langjähriger Freund, ist auch am Start. Freue ich mich mega, dass er auch im Lookbook ist. Und UFO, mein Brody, ist auch dabei. Deswegen wird krass.
But yeah, it looks cool. You get the gist of it. Big up him and what he's doing. Looks cool for what it is, but I wouldn't be seen dead in some of this shit. And it's just interesting to see who actually is paying and buying this stuff in real time, because it feels like a lot of people, you basically see it wearing it, they'd say would be people that maybe getting it for free. But I'd love to see what the actual customers of this are. You know, they'll probably open a store soon because of the investment involved. You'll probably just keep scaling up and up. But I don't know, rave inspired clothing. It's a bit naff to me, a bit weird, but maybe I don't get it. Maybe I don't get it.